Welcome to Sleep Story. Let the soothing cadence of a story weave through your consciousness, lulling your body to rest and your mind to tranquility as you drift into dreams on the wings of imagination.
But said Kong Ming wanted to chop the cloud long. Yuan said, "In the past are three people when they were sworn to live and die. Today, although the cloud long offense cannot bear to violate the former alliance, hope that the right to remember will be able to atone for their sins." Kong Ming only spared. And said Zhou Yu collected troops point generals, each narrative declared Wu Ho surrendered pawns as much as possible to pay across the river, a big treat for the three armies, so the troops to attack the South County. The front team of the river under the fortress, before and after the division of 5 camps, Zhou Yu was in the center. Yu is discussing with the crowd the strategy of conquest, suddenly reported. Liu Zhuande made Sun Qian come to congratulate the governor. Yu orders him to come in. Qian saluted and said, "My lord has ordered Qian to thank you for your great kindness, and I have a small gift to offer." Yu asked, "Where is Zhuande?" Qian replied, "Now move troops to the Oil River mouth." Yu was surprised and said, "Kong Ming is also in the Oil River," Qian said. "Kong Ming and the lord with the Oil River," Yu said. "Foot first back, I personally come to thank also." Yu received the gift, sent Sun Qian back first. Su said, "But why did the governor lose his head?" Yu said, "Liu Bei troops Oil River will take the intention of the South County. We have spent a lot of money and horses, with a lot of money and food, at present, the South County back to get. Their hearts are not benevolent, to be ready, must let Zhou Yu not die." Su said, "When to use what strategy to retreat?" Yu said, "I will go and talk to him. Good then good, not good. Not waiting for him to take the South County. The first result of Liu Bei." Su said, "I would like to go with him." So Yu and Lu Su led 3,000 light cavalry and cast Oil River mouth to come. First of all, Sun Qian returned to see Zhuande, said Zhou Yu will personally come to thank. Zhuande asked Kong Ming, "What are the intentions?" Kong Ming laughed and said, "Therefore these thing gifts willing to come to thank. Stop for the South County to come." Zhuande said, "If he brought troops too, how to treat it?" Kong Ming said, "If he comes, he can respond so and so." So he set up his warships at the mouth of the Yu River and lined up his army on the shore. A man reported, "Zhou Yu and Lu Su are here with their troops." Kong Ming asked Zhao Yun to lead a few horsemen to meet them. When Yu saw the strong army, he felt very uneasy. When they arrived at the camp gate, Zhuande and Kong Ming welcomed them into the tent. After the ceremonies, they hosted a banquet. Zhuande raised a glass of wine to thank for the violent battle. "Wine to a few rounds," Yu said. "You Zhou move troops here. Do not have the intention to take the South County." Zhuande said, "I heard that you want to take the South County, so I came to help. If the governor does not take, I will take it." Yu laughed and said, "My Wu has long wanted to annex the Han River. Now the South County is in the palm of your hand. How not to take?" Zhuande said, "The victory or defeat cannot be predetermined. Cao Cao is returning, so that Cao Ren guard the South County and other places. There must be a strange plan. Moreover, Cao Ren courage cannot be, but I am afraid that the governor cannot take the ear." Yu said, "If I cannot take, then any from the public to take." Zhuande said, "Zijing, Kong Ming here is evidence. The governor will not regret." Lu Su hesitant not right. Yu said, "A man's word is out, why regret it?" Kong Ming said, "Governor, this is very fair. Let the Eastern Wu take it first. If it doesn't go down, my lord will take it. Why not? Yu and Su bid farewell to Zhuande and Kongming, mounted their horses and left. Zhuande asked Kongming said, "But just missed the teach preparation, so answer." Although a moment to say, show turn to think, and the reason is not true. I am now poor alone, no place to set foot. Want to get the South County, the right and accommodate. If first taught Zhou Yu to take, the city has belonged to the Eastern Wu carry on, but how to live? Kongming laughed and said, when Liang advised the Lord to take Jingzhou, the Lord did not listen today, but want to be. Zhuande said, before for the Jingsheng land, so do not bear to take. Today for Cao land, it is right to take it. Kongming said, do not need to worrying about the Lord. Zhou Yu to kill, sooner or later to teach the Lord in the city of Nangshan High sitting. Zhuande said, plan will be out. Kongming said, only so and so. Zhuande was very happy. Only in the Jiangku cantonment, not to attack. Zhou Yu and Lu Su returned to their fortress. Lu Su said, how did the governor also allow Zhuande to take the South County? You said, I can get the South County with a snap of my fingers, so I'm not doing any favors. Then asked the generals under the tent, who dares to take the South County first? A man answered and came out, Zhongqin, you said, you are the vanguard. Su Sheng, Ding Feng's deputy generals, set aside 5,000 elite troops, first crossed the river. I then led the troops to meet, and said Cao Ren in South County, paid Cao Hong Ling as a hand. People reported, Wu soldiers have crossed the Han River. Ren said, hold fast and do not fight. Snapdragon Nujin fought and said, the soldiers are under the city, and do not come out to fight, is also timid. Moreover, our soldiers are newly defeated. Just to revitalize, I would like to borrow 500 soldiers to fight to the death. Ren followed, and ordered Niu Jin to lead 500 troops to the battlefield. Ding Feng came to meet him. After 4 or 5 rounds of battle, Feng was defeated, and Niu Jin led his army to chase him into the battlefield. Feng commanded his troops to surround Niu Jin in the formation. Jin clashed with his troops on the left and right, but he could not get out of the battlefield. Cao Ren saw Niu Jin trapped in the center of the city, so he put on his armor, led hundreds of strong soldiers out of the city, and swung his sword into the Wu formation. Su Sheng met him and could not resist. Cao Ren killed Niu Jin and rescued him. Cao Ren recalled that there were still dozens of riders in the formation and could not get out, so he turned over again to kill and rescue him from the siege. Cao Ren and Niu Jin fought hard to disperse them. Cao Ren's younger brother, Cao Kun, also led troops to meet them and killed them for a while. Cao Ren was victorious and returned. Zhongqing was defeated and returned to Zhou Yu, who was furious and wanted to behead him, but the generals told him not to. He then ordered his troops to fight Cao Ren in person. Gan Ning said, you can't do anything rash. Now Cao Ren made Cao Hong Jiling as a hand. I would like to use 3,000 elite troops to take Yiling, and then the governor can take the South County. You convinced that the theory? First teach Gan Ning led 3,000 soldiers to attack Yiling. There are details reported to Cao Ren and Cheng Zhao discussion. Zhao said, Yiling loss, South County cannot be defended. It is advisable to save it quickly. Ren then ordered Cao Kun and Niu Jin to secretly lead troops to save Cao Hong. Cao Kun first made people report to Cao Hong, so that Hong out of the city to lure the enemy. Gan Ning led the troops to Yiling. Hong out and Gan Ning fought. After more than 20 rounds of battle, Hong was defeated and left. Ning captured Yiling. At dusk, Cao Kun and Niu Jin's soldiers arrived, and the two sides met and surrounded Yiling. Scouting horses reported to Zhou Yu, said Gan Ning trapped in the city of Yiling. Yu was shocked. Cheng Pu said, "We can urgently split our troops to save them," Yu said. "This place is just the key place. If the troops to save, if Cao Ren leads soldiers to attack, how?" Lu Meng said, "Gan Xingba is a great general of Jiangdong. How can we not save?" Yu said, "I want to go to save it, but who will stay here to take my place?" Meng said, "Leave Lingongji to be it. Meng for the front drive. The governor break the back, not 10 days. We'll play a triumphant song," Yu said. "I wonder if Lingongji is willing to take my place for a while." Ling Tong said, "If the period of 10 days can be 10 days away, not competent to carry out their duties." Yu rejoiced, so he left more than 10,000 troops, paid Ling Tong. That day, the army cast Yiling to come. Meng said, "You said, Yiling south remote path, take the south county, is very convenient. Can send 500 troops to cut down the trees to cut off the road. If his army is defeated, it will go this way, the horse cannot walk. It will abandon the horse and go. I can get its horse also." Yu agreed, and sent his troops to the county. The army will arrive at Yiling. Yu asked, "Who can break through the siege and enter to save Gan Ning?" Zhou Tai is willing to go. Instantly nicked the sword and horse, straight into Cao's army, and went to the bottom of the city. Gan Ning saw Zhou Tai too, from the city to meet. Tai said, "The governor has brought his troops here." Ning ordered the soldiers to prepare for an internal response. Cao Hong, Cao Kun, and Niu Jin heard that Zhou Yu's soldiers were coming. So they first sent someone to Nangshan County to inform Cao Ren, and then divided their troops to resist the enemy. Cao Hong and Niu Jin heard that Zhou Yu's soldiers were coming and sent them to the South County to inform Cao Ren. When they met, Gan Ning and Zhou Tai killed them in 2 ways. Cao's soldiers were in great confusion, and Wu's soldiers covered up and killed them in all directions. Cao Hong, Cao Kun, and Niu Jin really threw themselves into the path and left, but they were blocked by the messy firewood, and their horses could not move, so they all abandoned their horses and left. All of them abandoned their horses and left. The Wu soldiers got more than 500 horses. Zhou Yu drove his troops to Nangshan County by night, and met Cao Ren's army to rescue Yiling. The 2 armies then fought in a melee. It was already late, so the 2 armies withdrew. Cao Ren went back to the city and discussed with the people. Cao Hong said, "Now lost Yiling, the situation has been critical. Why not dismantle the Prime Minister's legacy plan to view?" In order to solve this crisis, Cao Ren said, "Your words are exactly what I want." So I opened the book to see. Great joy. They will pass the order to teach 5 cooking. Ping Ming, the size of the army, all abandoned the city all over the flags, bluffing. The army divided into 3 doors and out. Zhou Yu rescued Gan Ning and set up his troops in the city of Nangshan. When he saw Cao's troops coming out through 3 gates, Yu went up to the general's platform to watch. Yu went up to the general's platform and watched them. He saw that no one was guarding the flags along the women's wall. He also saw that the soldiers were all tied up with parcels around their waists. Yu secretly thought that Cao Ren must be prepared to walk, so he ordered the generals to distribute the 2 armies for the left and right wings. If the front army wins, just focus on the front to catch up until the sound of the gold, and only then allowed to retreat. Cheng Pu was ordered to supervise the rear army. Yu personally led the army to take the city. Against the drums sounded, Cao Hong out of the horse to take hold of the battle, Yu from the door flag, so that Han Dang out of the horse, and Cao Hong battled to more than 30. Hong lost. Cao Ren from out to meet the battle. Zhou Tai horse to meet. Fight more than 10. Ren lost. The situation was disorganized. Zhou Yu commanded the two flanks of the army to kill. Cao's army was defeated. Yu led his army and horses to the city of Nangshan. Cao's army did not enter the city, looking northwest to go. Han Dang and Zhou Tai led the front troops to chase them as far as they could. When Yu saw that the city gate was wide open and there was no one in the city, he ordered his troops to rob the city. Dozens of riders entered the city first. Yu, with his horse behind him, went straight into the Yuan city. Chen Zhao, on the enemy tower, saw Zhou Yu himself entering the city and secretly applauded. The Prime Minister's brilliant strategy is like God. With a bang of the clapper, the bows and crossbows on both sides of the city were fired like a rainstorm. Those who scrambled to enter the city first were turned upside down into the pit. When Zhou Yu hurriedly pulled his horse back, he was hit by a crossbow and arrow, which hit his left side, and he tumbled down to his horse. Niu Jing came out from the city to capture Zhou Yu. Su Sheng and Ding Feng gave up their lives to save him. Cao's soldiers protruded from the city, and with soldiers trampled on each other, falling into countless pits in the moat. When Cheng Pu hurriedly withdrew his troops, Cao Ren and Cao Hong divided their troops into two and killed them. The Wu soldiers were defeated. Luckily, Ling Tong led an army to kill from the diagonal and stopped Cao's soldiers. Cao Ren led the victorious soldiers into the city, while Cheng Pu collected the defeated troops and returned to his stronghold. Ding and Su rescued Zhou Yu in his tent and called the army doctor to pull out the arrowheads with iron pincers and put gold sowers medicine on the sores to cover them, which caused unbearable pain. And the food and drink were all wasted. The doctor said, "This arrow is poisonous and cannot be cured in a hurry. If anger, the sowers recur." Cheng Pu ordered the three armies to guard the fortresses. Do not lightly out. 3 days later, Cattle Gold led the army to take hold of the war. Cheng Pu pressed the troops not to move. Niu Jin scolded to the end of the day before returning the next day to scold the war again. Cheng Pu fear you angry. Do not dare to report. On the third day, Niu Jin came to the gate of the fortress to scold, saying that he only wanted to catch Zhou Yu. Cheng Pu discussed with all of them and wanted to retreat for the time being and return to see Marquis Wu. But then he paid no attention to it. Zhou Yu, although suffering from sores, the heart has its own ideas. Know that Cao's soldiers often come to the front of the fortress scolding, but do not see the generals to report. One day, Cao Ren led his army, beating drums and shouting, and came to take hold of the battle. Cheng Pu refused to stay. Zhou Yu called the generals into the tent and asked, "Where the drums and cries?" The generals said, "The army taught the soldiers." Yu said angrily, "Why deceive me also? I know that Cao soldiers often come to the front of the fortress insults." Cheng Demo, both in charge of military power. Why sit back and watch? So he ordered people to invite Cheng Pu to the tent ask. Pu said, "I see Gongjin 6 hours. Doctors say do not touch the anger. So Cao soldiers take hold. Do not dare to report." You said, "Public and other not fighting. The idea of what?" Pu said, "All the generals want to withdraw their troops temporarily back to Jiangdong. When the arrow sowers of the public calm down, then make the area." You heard, on the bed, and jumped up and said, "A great man both eat the king's salary, when the death of the battlefield, to the horse leather wrapped in corpses still, fortunate. How can you waste national affairs for me?" After saying this, he put on his armor and mounted his horse. All the generals of the army were horrified. He then led hundreds of riders out of the front of the camp, looked at the Cao soldiers have been set up in formation. Cao Ren from the horse at the door flag, whip cursing said, Zhou Yu children, I am sure that cross death no longer dare to look at my soldiers. Cursing is not yet finished. Yu from the group of riders within the sudden came out and said, Cao Ren Piffle, do you see Mr. Zhou? When Cao's army saw this, they were all horrified. Cao Ren looked back at the generals and said, you can yell at them. The troops shouted and cursed. Zhou Yu was furious and sent Pan Zhong into battle. Before the battle started, Zhou Yu suddenly cried out and spurted blood from his mouth. He fell from his horse. Cao soldiers rushed the generals forward to resist. Mixed battle saved Zhou Yu back to the tent. Cheng Pu asked, how is your body? Yu said to Pu, this is my plan. Pu said, what will you do? Yu said, my body is not very painful. I so this is, want to make Cao soldiers know that I am sick, will certainly deceive the enemy. Can make the hearts of the soldiers to go to the city fraudulent surrender, said I am dead. Tonight, Cao Ren will come to rob the fortress. I but in the ambush to respond to it. Then Cao Ren can be a drum and captured, Cheng Pu said. This plan is wonderful. With the tent raised the voice of mourning. The army was shocked. All rumors that the governor died of arrow sores. All the cottages are hanging mourning. Cao Ren was discussing with the troops in the city, saying that Zhou Yu's anger had caused his sores to burst, so that his mouth was spraying blood, and he fell down from his horse, and that he would die soon. In the middle of the discussion, he suddenly reported, there are more than 10 soldiers in Wu's fortress who have come to surrender. There are also 2 people in the middle. Originally Cao soldiers were captured in the past. Cao Ren busy call into the question. The sergeant said, today Zhou Yu before the formation of gold sows broken, returned to the fortress that is dead. Today, all the generals have already hung the mourning. We have all been insulted by Cheng Pu. So we have surrendered to report this. Cao Ren was overjoyed, and then discussed the idea of robbing the fortress tonight, seizing Zhou Yu's corpse, beheading him, and sending him to Zudu. Chen Zhao said, this plan should be carried out as soon as possible, and should not be delayed. Cao Ren then made Niu Jin at the vanguard, himself as the center army, Cao Hong and Cao Kun at the combined rear, only leaving Chen Zhao to lead some soldiers to guard the city. The rest of the army rose up. After the first shift, he left the city and threw himself into Zhou Yu's stronghold. When I came to the gate of the fortress, I did not see anyone, but I saw a false flag and gun. Knowing that he was trapped, he hastily retreated. The sound of cannons was heard in all directions. Hondang and Zhongqing came to kill in the east. Zhou Tai and Pan Zhong came to kill in the west. Su Sheng and Ding Feng came to kill in the south. And Chen, Wu and Lu Ming came to kill in the north. Cao's soldiers were defeated, and all 3 armies were scattered, unable to save each other. Cao Ren led a dozen or so riders to kill out of the siege, and met Cao Hong, so he led the defeated troops and horses to run away together. At the end of the day, not far from Nangxiang County, a drum sounded, and Ling Tong led an army to block the way, intercepting and killing for a while. Cao Ren led his army to go diagonally, and met Gan Ning again and killed him. Cao Ren didn't dare to go back to Nangxiang County, and threw himself on the Xiangyang Road, and the Wu army drove him back. Zhou Yu, Cheng Pu collected the troops, and went to the city of Nangxian. See flags all over the enemy tower. A general called, Governor less guilty. I have been ordered by the military division, has taken the city. I am Chang Shinjiao Zilong also. Zhou Yu was furious and ordered to attack the city. Zhou Yu was furious and ordered the city to be attacked, but arrows were shot down from the city. You ordered to return to the army to discuss, so that Gan Ning led thousands of troops and horses, and then take Jingju. Ling Tong led thousands of troops and horses, and then take Xiangyang, and then take the South County is not too late. Is divided between. Suddenly Scout Horse rushed to report that Zhu Zheliang since got the South County. So use the military symbols. Starry Night fraudulent transfer Jingju defend city army to save. But teach Zhong Fei attacked Jingju. Another Scout Horse flew to report. Chao Dun in Xiangyang was sent by Zhu Zhiliang, a present of military symbols. Fraudulently said that Cao Ren for help, luring Dun to draw troops out, but taught the Cloud Long attacked to take Xiangyang. 2 cities, all effortless, all belong to Liu Zhuandi. Carry on, Zhou Yu said. Zhu Zhiliang how to get the military symbol. Cheng Pu said. He held Chen Jiao. Military symbols naturally all belong to the carry-on. Zhou Yu screamed. Golden sowers burst. Exactly. I have no share in several counties and cities, and I have worked hard for no one. I don't know how my life will be, but let's see what happens below. But Zhou Yu saw Kong Ring attack the South County, and heard that he attacked Jingxiong. How not angry? Gas wounded arrow sowers, half a long time ago. All the generals again, and again to persuade. You said, if you do not kill Juge village man, how to rest my heart resentment? Cheng De Mo can help me to attack the South County, and will definitely take back the Eastern Wu. In the middle of the discussion, Lu Su arrived. You said, I want to fight with Liu Bei and Zhu Xiong to take back the city. Zijing fortunately helped me, Lu Su said. No, Fang now hold with Cao Cao. Not yet divided into success or failure. Lord Gong now attacked the interfax not. Do not fight for their own mutual annexation. If Cao Cao soldiers take advantage of the situation is dangerous. Moreover, Liu Zhuandi had been thick with Cao Cao in the past. If forced to emergency, offer the city, together with the attack on Dongwu. Such as what to do, you said. We used the strategy, loss of troops and horses, the cost of money and food. He went to figure ready-made, not hate. Su said, Gongjin and patience. Allow me to personally siege Wanda, will reason to say him. If it does not make sense, then it is not too late to move troops, the general said. Zijing's words are very good. So Lu Su led his followers to Nangshan County and called the door at the bottom of the city. Zhao Yun came out to ask. Su said, I want to see Liu Zhuandi to have a word. Yun replied, my lord and master are in the city of Jingju. So Su did not enter the southern county, but ran to Jingju. Seeing the flags and banners, the army was very prosperous. Su secretly envied and said, Kongming is really a very human being. Soldiers reported into the city, said Lu Zijing want to see. Kongming ordered the city gate to be opened wide to receive Su into the government office. After the ceremony, they sat down as guests and hosts. Su said, my lord Wu Ho, and the governor Gongjin taught so and so to repeatedly express the intention of Uncle Wong, the former, the manipulation of 1 million people, the name of Jiangnan, really want to come to figure Uncle Wong. Fortunately, the East Wu killed Cao's soldiers, saved Uncle Wong. All the 9 counties of Jingju should be returned to Dongwu. Now Uncle Wong with trickery seized Jingxiong, so that Zhengdong empty cost of money, food and horses, and Uncle Wong to receive its benefits. I am afraid that in the rationale is not smooth, Kongming said. Zijing is a wise man. Why do you also say this? As the saying goes, things must return to the Lord. Jingxiong 9 counties, not the land of the Eastern Wu, is Liu Jingsheng's foundation. My lord solid Jingsheng's brother. Although Jingsheng died, his son is still there. To uncle assist nephew, and take Jingju, why not? Su said, if the fruit is the son of Liu Chao occupation, there is still a solution. now the son of Zhongxia, must not be here, Kong Ming said. Zijing want to see the prince. Then ordered the left and right, please prince out. Just saw two from behind the screen to help out Liu Che, she said Su. Sick body cannot salute. Zijing do not sin. Lu Su ate a shock, silent, a long time, said, if the prince is not there, how? Kong Ming said, prince in a day, keep a day. If not, do not have to discuss, Su said. If you are not here, you must return the city to me, Kong Ming said. Zijing's words are true. He then hosted a banquet. Su resigned out of the city. The night back to the fortress, said before. You said, Liu Che is young. How can he die? This Jingju when to return, Su said. Do not worry. Only on Lu Su. Be sure to discuss Jing Xiong back to the Eastern Wu, you said. Zijing, what do you think? Su said, I see Liu Che too much wine and sex. Sick to death, now thin face, gasping and vomiting blood. But half a year, he will die. At that time to take Jingju. Liu Bei must not have to push the cause. Zhou Yu was still angry. Suddenly Sun Quan sent an envoy too. You maid please enter. The ambassador said, the Lord Siege of the Interfax, tired of the battle, is not successful. Special order governor to recover the army and allocate troops to the Interfax to help. Zhou Yu had to return to chasing to recuperate, so that the Chengpu department of the warships and soldiers to listen to Sun Quan Interfax call. But said the huge wonder since the Jingju, Nangshan, Xiangyang, the heart is very happy. Discuss the long-term plan. Suddenly saw a man on the hall to offer advice. See, is Ji also? Zhuan dissents of its old grace. Very respectful. Sit down and ask. Book said, to know the long-term plan of Jingju. Why not ask the wise man to ask? Zhuan said. Say Jin. Ji said, Jing Xiong Ma, 5 brothers and talented. The youngest named Su, the word young orphan. The most virtuous, with white hair between the eyebrows. The name Liang, the word Jicheng, the most virtuous of them all had white hairs between his eyebrows, and his name was Liang, and his name was Jicheng. The townspeople said in a proverb, the 5 brothers of the Mo clan are the most talented, with white eyebrows. Why don't you ask this person and plan with him? Zhuande then ordered to invite. Ma Liang arrived. Zhuande treated him with courtesy and asked him about the strategy for conserving Jing Xiong. Liang said, Jing Xiong is surrounded by enemies. I am afraid that it cannot be defended for a long time. Can make Prince Liu Che here to recuperate, recruiting the old people to guard on the table for the Prince of Jingju assassin, to settle the people's hearts, and then the southern conquest of Wuling, Chongsha, Guiyong, Zuling for counties, the accumulation of money and grain as a fundamental. This is a long-term plan. Zhuande was very happy, so he asked, 4 counties, when to take what county first? Liang said, west of the Xiongjiang River. Zuling is the closest. You can take it first, second take Wuling. Then take Guiyong on the east side of the Xiongjiang River. Chongsha will be the next. Zhuande then used Ma Liang, his advisor, and Ji as his deputy. Please Kong Ming to discuss sending Liu Che back to Xiangyang and return to Jingju for Yunchong. Then, they deployed troops to take Zuoling, sent Zhong Fei as the vanguard, Zhao Yun together with the rear, Kong Ming. Zhuande as the center of the army, 15,000 men, stayed in the cloud long to guard Jingju, Miju, Liu Feng to guard Yongling. Zuoling Tai guards Liu Du, heard Zhuande army horses came, was with his son Liu Xian discussion. Xian said, Father rest assured, although he has the courage of Zhong Fei and Zhao Yun, my state general crossing Darong, who has the strength to defeat 10,000 people, can resist him. Yu Du then ordered Liu Xian and crossing Darong to lead more than 10,000 troops 30 miles away from the city and set up a stronghold on the mountain. The scouts reported, Kong Ming has led an army to come. Dao Rong then led his army to the battlefield. When the two formations were facing each other, Dao Rong stepped out of his horse, using a big axe in his hand, and shouted, "How dare the traitors invade my realm?" I saw a cluster of yellow flags coming out from the opposite formation. Flag open, launched a four-wheeled vehicle, the car sitting in a person, head wearing a spandex scarf, body clad in a crane cloak, hand holding a feather fan. With a fan, crossing Darong said, "I am Juge Kongming of Nanyang also. Cao Cao led 1 million people. By my small trick, killed a piece of armor. How can you compete with me? I am here to recruit you. Why don't you surrender?" Dao Rong laughed and said, "Red Cliff fears battle. Is Zhou Lang's plan also? What do you do? Dare to deceive?" Wheel Big Axe actually ran to Kongming. Kongming then back to the car, looking at the formation to go. The formation door is closed. Dao Rong straight rushed to kill over. The formation quickly divided into two and go. Dao Rong looked at the center of a cluster of yellow flag, expected to be Kongming, is only looking at the yellow flag, and rush. After wiping through the foot of the mountain, the yellow flag stopped, but suddenly the center parted, and there was no four-wheeled vehicle in sight, only a general holding out his spear and jumping on his horse, shouting, and attacking Dao Rong directly, which was Zhonggide also. Dao Rong came to meet him with a big axe, but after a few rounds of battle, he lost his strength and turned his horse away. Yuan then came, shouting loudly, and the ambushed troops came out from both sides. When Dao Rong rushed through, one of the generals in front of him blocked the way and shouted, "Do you recognize Changshan Zhao Zilong?" Dao Rong expected to be unable to defeat them, and had nowhere to run, so he had to get off his horse and ask for surrender. Zilong came to see Zhuande and Kongming in the fortress. Zhuande drink teach beheading. Kongming quickly stopped, as Rong said, "If you and I catch Liu Xian, you will be allowed to surrender." Dao Rong even voice willing to go. Kongming said, "How do you catch him?" Dao Rong said, "If you are willing to let a military master back, I have to say." Tonight, the military advisor deployed troops to rob the fortress. I was an insider. Captured Liu Xian, offered to the military advisor. Liu Xian has been captured. Liu Du surrendered. Zhuande did not believe his words. Kongming said, "General Crossing is not fallacious," so he let Dao Rong return. Dao Rong was released back to the fortress. The former fax told Liu Xian. He told Liu Xian, "What can we do?" Dao Rong said, "Can be a plan. Tonight, the soldiers will be ambushed outside the fortress false flag, to be Kongming to rob the fortress, on and capture." Liu Xian followed the plan. That night at 2 o'clock, there is really a puma army to the mouth of the fortress, each with a grass handle, all set fire. Liu Xian, Dao Rong to down to kill. Set fire to the army to retreat. Liu Xian, Dao Rong to armies take advantage of the situation to catch up. Rushed more than 10 miles, the army are gone. Liu Xian, Dao Rong alarmed, rushed back to the fortress, only to see the fire is not extinguished. The fortress protruded a general, is Zhongyide also. Liu Xian told Dao Rong, "Do not enter the fortress, but go to rob Kongming fortress," so he went back to the army. Within 10 miles, Zhao Yun led an army of assassins to kill diagonally, and stabbed Dao Rong under his horse. Liu Xian quickly dialed the horse to run away. Behind Zhong Fei rushed too. Captured alive over the horse, tied to see Kongming. Xian told him, "Crossing Darong taught me to do this, but it was not my intention." Kongming made to release his bondage, with clothes to wear, give wine to suppress fear, teach people to send into the city to say father surrender. If he didn't surrender, he would break the city and kill the whole family. Liu Xian went back to Zwoling to see his father, Liu Du, and prepared to describe Kongming's virtue and persuade his father to surrender. Liu Xian went back to Zuling to see his father, Liu Du, and advised his father to surrender. He then put up a flag on the city, opened the city gate, and went out of the city with a present of seal and ribbon, and even threw himself into Zhuandi's stronghold to surrender. Kongming taught Liu Du to remain as the county governor, and his son Liu Xian went to Jingzhou to work with the army. Zhuoling County residents, all happy. Zhuandi entered the city to pacify, rewarded the three armies. He asked the generals, Zhuoling has been taken, Guiyang County, who dares to take? Zhao Yun said, I would like to go. Zhong Fei vigorously outsaid, Fei also want to go. The two of them argued with each other. Kongming said, after all, Zilong answered first, so I will only teach Zilong to go. Zhong Fei was unconvinced and decided to go and get it. Kongming taught him to pick up a castrate, and if he did, he would go. Again, it was Zilong who got it. Zhong Fei said angrily, I do not want people to help, only lead 3,000 troops to go. Stable to take the city, Zhao Yun said. I also only lead 3,000 troops to go. If you do not get the city, willing to accept the military order. Kongming was delighted, chastised the military order, choose 3,000 elite troops to pay Zhao Yun to go. Zhong Fei was not convinced, but Zhuandi retreated. Zhao Yun led the 3,000 men and marched to Guiyang. There were scouts who reported to Zhao Fan, the governor of Guiyang. Fan hurriedly gathered his men to discuss the matter. Chen Ying and Bao Long were willing to lead the troops to battle. It turned out that both of them were hunters from Guiyang Mountain. Chen Ying knew how to use a flying fork, and Bao Long had once shot and killed 2 tigers. The two of them relied on their bravery and said to Zhao Fan, if Liu Bei comes, I would like to be the front part of the two of them. Zhao Fan said, I heard that Liu Zhuanda is the imperial uncle of the Han Dynasty. Moreover, Kongming is very resourceful, Guan and Zhong are very brave. Zhao Zilong, who is leading the troops, is in the millions of troops in Dangyang Chongban, as if there is no one in the territory. How many men can I have in Guiyang? I can't meet the enemy. I can only surrender, Ying said. I request to fight. If I cannot capture Zhao Yun, then it will not be too late for Mr. Ren to surrender. Zhao Fan could not resist, so he agreed. Chen Ying led 3,000 men and horses out of the city to meet the enemy, and saw Zhao Yun leading the army. Chen Ying formed a formation and flew his horse out with a fork. Zhao Yun stood out with his spear and scolded Chen Ying, saying, My lord Liu Zhuanda, who is the brother of Liu Jingsheng, is now assisting his son Liu Che to lead Jingzhou with him, and has come here to comfort the people. How dare you meet the enemy? Chen Ying scolded. We only obey Prime Minister Cao, not Liu Bei. Zhao Yun was furious and attacked Chen Ying with his spear and horse. The two horses met and fought for 4 or 5 rounds, but Chen Ying, expecting to be defeated, turned his horse and left. Zhao Yun chased after him. Chen Ying recalled that Zhao Yun's horse was approaching and threw his flying fork at him, but Zhao Yun caught it. Zhao Yun caught it and threw it back at Chen Ying. Zhao Yun's horse arrived earlier and captured Chen Ying alive, threw him to the ground, and drank the soldiers to tie him back to the stronghold. The defeated army scattered and ran away. Cloud into the fortress scolded, Chen Ying said, Amount you dare to enemy me. I do not kill you today, let you go back. Said with Zhao Fan, early to surrender. Chen Ying thanked him for his offense and fled, returning to the city and telling Zhao Fan all about it. Fan said, I wanted to surrender, but you want to fight, so this is how it is. He scolded Chen Ying and told him to leave, so he scolded back Chen Ying, a present holding the seal and ribbon, leading more than 10 riders out of the city to cast the big fortress to surrender. Cloud out of the fortress to meet, to treat as a guest, set wine to drink, the seal, wine to a few rounds, Fan said. General's last name is Zhao. My last name is also Zhao. 500 years ago. Together is a family. General is Zhending people. I also Zhending people, and is the same hometown. If you do not give up to be a brother, it is a blessing. Yuan was very happy, and each of them told us their years. Yuan and Fan were the same age. Yuan and Fan were the same age. Yuan was 4 months older than Fan, so Fan called Yuan his brother. The two people in the same hometown, the same year, and the same surname, very similar. By the end of the evening, Fan resigned and returned to the city. The next day, Fan asked Yuan to enter the city to settle the people. Yuan taught the soldiers to rest, only with 50 riders with the city. The residents of the city received him with incense and ambush. After Yuan had finished settling the people, Zhao Fan invited him into the government office for a banquet. When the wine was half full, Fan invited Yuan into the back hall to drink more wine. Yuan was slightly drunk. Fan suddenly invited a woman to drink wine with Yuan. Zilong saw that the woman was wearing onyx, and she had a beautiful color, so he asked Fan, "Who is this person?" Fan said, "My sister-in-law Fan also." Zilong changed his face to honor. Fan's put marigolds after. Fan made to sit down. "Yuan, thank you." Fan's resignation to the back of the hall. Cloud said, "Why bother your sister-in-law to raise the cup?" Fan laughed and said, "There is a reason in the middle, begging brother not to block. My brother abandoned the world, has been 3 years. The family sister-in-law widowed. The end is not the end. I often advise its remarriage." Sister-in-law said, "If you get 3 things, all of them, I will marry. The first to be civil and military, known throughout the world. The second to look good, outstanding manners. The third to be the same name with my brother. How can there be such a coincidence in the world? Now, your brother is a man of great appearance, famous all over the world, and he shares the same surname as my brother, which is exactly what my sister-in-law said. If you don't mind my sister-in-law's appearance, I would like to marry you and make you a wife. How about a lifelong relationship?" Cloud heard the words of great anger and rise, said sternly, "I have been married to you as a brother. Your sister-in-law is my sister-in-law also. How can you do this chaotic human affair?" Zhao Fan was ashamed, replied, "I was kindly treated. How so rude?" He then looked around, with the intention of harming each other. Cloud has realized. A punch knocked down Zhao Fan, out of the door, on horseback out of the city. Fan urgently called Chen Ying. Bao Long discussion. Should say, "This person is angry to go. Only to kill with him," Fan said. "But I'm afraid I can't win him," Bao Long said. "I too fraudulently surrendered in his army, but Tai Shou led troops to take hold of the battle. I too on the formation to capture it." Chen Ying said, "I must bring some men and horses," Long said. 500 riders are enough. That night, the two of them led 500 troops to run to Zhao Yun's fortress to surrender. Yuan already knew that he was a fraud, so he taught him to call in. The two generals went to the tent and said, "Zhao Fan wants to use the beauty plan to earn generals, only to wait 4 generals drunk, help into the back of the whole murder, the head to go to Cao Prime Minister to offer credit, so unkind. When I saw generals' anger, I was sure to be implicated, so I surrendered." Zhao Yun feigned joy, and set up wine to drink with them. The two were very drunk. The Cloud is bound in the tent, captured his men to ask. It is fraudulent surrender. Cloud called 500 troops into, each given wine and food, passing the order to harm me, Chen Ying, Bao Long also. Do not interfere with the affairs of all. You listen to my plan, all have a heavy reward. The army thanked. The surrendered Chen, Bao to people beheaded at that time. That teach 500 troops to lead the way. Yun led 1,000 troops in the back, overnight to Guiyang city, called the Door. When the city heard it, it said that Generals Chen and Bao had killed Zhao Yun and returned to the army, asking the governor to discuss matters. The city will be on fire to see. It is our own troops and horses, Jiao Fan rushed out of the city. Yuan drink around to catch down. So into the city. Pacify the people have been finalized. Fly to report Zhuanda. Zhuanda and Ming went to Guiyong. Yuan greeted him and pushed Jiao Fan under the steps. When Ming asked him about it, he told him that he had promised to marry his sister-in-law. Ming said, Yuan said, "This is also a beautiful thing. Why is Gong so?" Yuan said, "Jiao Fan and the brother. Now if you marry his sister-in-law to provoke scorn, 1. His wife remarried, so that the loss of integrity, 2. Jiao Fan first surrendered. His heart is difficult to predict, 3. Lord newly established Zhonghan. The pillow is not yet at ease. Yuan and dare to a woman and abolish the Lord's major events." Zhuanda said, "Today's events have been finalized, and you marry, if so." Cloud said, "There are a lot of women in the world, but I am afraid that the reputation is not established. Why not worrying about no wife?" Zhuanda said, "Zilong really husband also." So he released Jiao Fan, still made Guiyong governor, rewarded Jiao Yun. Zhong Fei exclaimed, "Zilong is the one who got the credit. I am a useless person. Only allocate 3,000 army, and I go to take Wulin County, live capture the governor, Jinjuan to offer." Ming was delighted and said, "It's okay for Yai to go, but there's one thing you have to follow. Precisely, the military division to decide to win more strange strategy. The generals compete to be the first to establish the war." "I don't know." Ming said that one thing. Let's see the following decomposition.
you.